leadership becomes a bridge, resilience, purpose, and the courage to evolve. There are moments in history when the world does not need louder voices. It needs deeper ones. Voices that know when to pause. Voices that choose reflection over reaction. Voices that can sit with contradiction without surrendering compassion. We're living in such a moment, ladies and gentlemen. A moment when leadership is no longer measured by how long we hold a title, but by how gracefully we evolve, how consciously we transition, and how responsibly we carry what we learn from one role into the next. Welcome. Welcome to Boostru's The Resilient Power TV show. This is the Breaking Barriers interview series where we do more than celebrate achievement. We honor the inner recalibration that leadership requires over time. I am your phenomenal host, Honorable Dr. Saskia Christian, and today's conversation is not simply an interview. It's an inquiry into becoming, an inquiry into how resilience is built not only through endurance, but through discernment. Powerful statement. How emotional intelligence is refined, not in theory, but through transition and responsibility. And how leadership matures when we allow ourselves to move consciously between roles that serve humanity in different ways. Now, our guest today, an incredible guest today, is a woman whose leadership journey reflects that evolution with integrity. Dr. Nairuz Arshid is an educator, international relations leader, peace ambassador, beautiful, and bridge builder. Her recent conferral of the honorary doctorate in business administration from GSFEN Business School honors not only her accomplishments, but her capacity to grow, adapt, and lead with conscience across sectors. And that's very important. She holds degrees from the University of Haifa, University, and has led intercultural leadership initiatives, bringing Arab and Jewish youth together. She is the founder of the Association of the Advancement and Empowerment of Christians in Israel, and is a recipient of the Universal Peace Federation's Ambassador of Peace title and the Pope Clement Award. Now, Dr. Nairuz, welcome to the Resilient Power TV show. It's indeed an honor to sit with you today, not only to hear what you have done, but to understand how you've navigated becoming who you are today. Now, honorary doctorates, I have to say, are not symbols of arrival. They are moments that quietly ask a deeper question. What does this life now require of me? And we all have to ask that. Dr. Nairuz, receiving the honorary doctorate in business administration from GSFEN Business School recognizes leadership that transcends discipline and sector. What did this recognition surface for you about responsibility, especially as someone whose work spans education, diplomacy, and peace building? Please tell us.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate the invitation and the outstanding introduction. Thank you. Yeah, this recognition I received from GSFEN did not change my direction. It affirmed a path I was already walking. You know, it was the moment of recognition, like that values that guiding my work were seen and understood. So For me, this honor represents responsibility more than achievement, because recognition must never become the goal. It reminds me that the work itself must always remain larger than the title attached to it. So my life's work has been guided by one simple belief, that leadership is not about position, it's not about control, not about power, but about responsibility. So the true purpose remains unchanged: to serve with integrity and to create meaningful impact.
Excellent, excellent. What an honorable statement. So heart-centered, so focused, so purposeful. How did this moment help you integrate the many chapters of your professional journey, which itself is absolutely amazing, into a single sense of purpose? Can you tell us?
I began my professional life as an educator, and I simply wanted to teach, to make a difference in the lives of students. And over time, like, responsibility found me. I was offered like a leading position in 2015 to act as a co-leader in a coexistence program. You know, as Israel is a country of conflict, so I acted as a head of a delegation because others saw in me like the ability to hold like people and challenges together. So moving into leadership wasn't a sudden leap. It was gradual, like, expanding of perspectives. So
Yeah.
I was no longer responsible for only for students, you know, but for teachers, for programs, and shared vision. And this stage taught me how change takes time. That life asked me something bigger. I found an organization for the advancement and empowerment of Christians in Israel. So my work expanded. It's expanded beyond institutions. Leadership became responsibility not only to school, but to a community. Now I find myself like building, founding, and representing and speaking across borders. So yeah, this is who I am. I moved from an educator to a peace activist and a founder. And about the transition between roles, I think roles express your values. So it's all about being anchored and stable and true to your values. So I moved like from mastery, like you said, to kind of uncertainty. It's out of curiosity. And for me, curiosity builds power, you know, and helps keep keep grounded and adaptable. So this moves this move encouraged me to learn and to grow, and keeps me interested. That sense of discovery like fuels motivation.
Yes.
And your changed impact becomes an expansion of who you are. It's not about becoming a new person, not about becoming a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I can see that you're just speaking from just a sense of authenticity. And others, I'm sure the viewers can hear and just feel that as well. And so not only authenticity, but humility. And that's very essential for, for journey, transformation, and effecting, change in the lives of others. So thank you. Emotional intelligence in role shifts. Now, every role carries different emotional demands. We can all agree with that. What emotional intelligence muscles, Dr. Nairuz, did you have to strengthen as you moved from educator to international relations leader, particularly when your decisions began affecting institutions, policies, and your global stakeholders? Tell us.
Yeah, it's all about perspective. So seeing situations from different perspectives like allows me to read needs and to read minds and to anticipate consequences, even to be flexible in complex situations and like being logical without losing empathy. So
Yes.
this ability to shift perspective is closely connected to the emotional intelligence. This is a skill, a decisive advantage in leadership positions. It helps me connect across cultures and bridge conflict, So effective leadership begins with the ability to see beyond a single viewpoint. So in this sense, emotional intelligence is about being able to read unspoken resistance in political spaces or interfaith spaces. So, I mean, to be able to look beyond what's spoken and to try to understand deeper realities. And of course, to receive criticism without becoming that defensive. So, the needed skill here is to discover yourself, to control your emotions, and to recognize your feelings. Learn about yourself, about your triggers, about your feelings. It's about staying compassionate in all situations. And you are expected to read not only your emotions, but also the emotional climate of every room you enter. And that balance between emotional openness with keeping personal limits.
Absolutely. Brilliantly said. Thank you so much for that amazing answer. So let's take a look now at the founding purpose and organizational motivation. Now, at some point in a leader's life, service through institutions becomes insufficient, and the call shifts towards building something that reflects one's values more fully. And I'm sure you can attest to that, Dr. Nairuz. Now, you founded the association, which is brilliant, the Association for the Advancement and Empowerment of Christians in Israel, and is a recipient of the Universal Peace Federation's Ambassador of Peace title and the Pope Clement Award. What experiences across your earlier roles made it clear that an organization like this needed to, of course, exist and that you were meant to help lead it? Tell us.
Sure. I'm often asked how I started my path working in human rights, coexistence, and peace building. And to be honest, I didn't set out to choose this path. Actually, the path chose me. It started through real life experiences rather than theories, through encounters in like with injustice, like where people were excluded, and through encounters with invisibility. And where staying silent felt wrong. So over time, I was gradually shaped into this work. Those moments like shaped my sense of responsibility. Like the whole thing began with awareness and gradually became commitment. I realized that human rights and women empowerment are not abstract ideas, but lived realities that affect us every day.
Of course.
The moment I truly saw that, it became impossible for me to avoid. I started this path because it feels necessary to make a real change. And I would like to share one of the most surprising and honestly saddest moments for me was during my stay in the US. I realized that many people simply didn't know that Christians live in Israel at all. They were surprised to hear that there is an indigenous Christian community living and working and contributing to the Israeli society. I was shocked. It was so sad for me. First, I thought that people were joking, but they weren't. And my answer was yes. I live there, I vote there, I pay taxes there. So that lack of awareness matters. When people don't know that you exist, your voice and your rights and your realities would be easily ignored or passed over. So this invisibility hurts. So I realized something standing on that stage. If people don't know we exist, they cannot support us. So if we are not on the map, we don't matter in policies or in plans. And that was the moment right there on that stage. The idea was born. That night, I discovered that I had to start something bigger, to exist loudly, to exist like clearly. Because history may not forget you, but people do. So part of my work has become making the invisible visible and reminding the world that Christian communities in Israel are active participants in shaping future. And I'm firmly and with full conviction biased in favor of supporting women and their rights, which is important for several reasons, both in terms of workforce and rights. It feels like women protection and recognition are needed, and many Israelis, like many Israeli Christian women, are left behind in terms of leadership opportunities, in terms of economic empowerment and representation, despite their potential and high levels of education. So we deserve equal access to education and to employment and leadership opportunities. So I strongly believe that when Christian women are empowered, the impact reaches far beyond their community and contributes to a more just society. And historically speaking, there is a deep connection, between Christianity and the land the land in which it was born. The land of Israel is the place where the good news was first given. It's a land where the good news was not only spoken, but experienced and embodied and passed on through generations, and the life of Jesus and his teachings all unfolded in this land. So, which means we are not visitors, but part of the land that witnessed the beginnings of a message that called for love and justice. So, and continues to inspire billions today. Why not to ensure that Christian communities here are not only remembered, but protected and empowered? And I'm determined to preserve the presence and protect them from immigration. I think that is everyone's commitment here.
Excellent.
And I believe that this kind of supporting is an act of justice. And so every effort I make is guided by one simple truth, that the preservation of this community is a responsibility we all share.
I agree. What a powerful way to validate the existence and the identity of so many. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that essential work.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, I have to say that it's just highly commendable. Thank you for being relevant.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's talk about the resilience as organizational DNA. The organizations carry the emotional intelligence of their founders and leaders. How did your lived experiences with resilience, coexistence, and cross-cultural leadership shape the values, strategies, and emotional culture of the organization you now represent? Hello? The lived experiences? Anything you want to add on that, Dr. Nairuz?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I see education has always been at the heart of my journey. Yes. I see education not only as the transfer of knowledge, but as the shaping values of individuals and critical thinking and compassion. But I've always had a passion for making a difference, for building bridges where there are divisions, and empowering individuals to become active and to become responsible citizens. Now, when it comes to resilience, I see combination of professional and cultural and social challenges. Many of these overlap with global leadership challenges.
Yes.
My professional experience has taught me that no action can be taken as long as we don't understand the root cause of the problem. Moreover, understanding the cause doesn't mean that we have found a solution to the problem. Absolutely. This is my principle in life. This is my statement. And no meaningful action can be taken for Christian minorities unless we identify first the root causes of their vulnerability. Many initiatives focus on symptoms like immigration or poverty, but without addressing the deeper reasons behind them. So I think for Christian minorities, the root causes may include discrimination or lack of equal access to resources and employment, and weak political representation. Recognizing these causes doesn't automatically produce solutions. So awareness without strategy can lead to frustration rather than change. The process is what is needed is like a transition from awareness stage to the action stage, like equal rights policies or educational empowerment or economic empowerment or freedom of religion and platforms that allow Christian minorities to participate fully in public life. In this sense, understanding the problem allows these minorities not only to survive, but to thrive. So, being minority within minority limits our access to opportunities. So, and as women, we live in crossroads because we face double marginalization, both as women and as members of a minority community. Yes. So that combination requires strength and resilience, and this combination of social and economic and cultural challenges can leave us behind in certain areas. Yeah. And to be in my position, resilience means to continue to lead with values while absorbing failures and disappointments and sometimes resistance, and even leading during crisis times without losing sight of the long-term goals. Of course. So bouncing back from political setbacks or even social setbacks or whatever, and meeting community expectations. So it's about managing tension between staying true to a bigger vision while also dealing with immediate needs and pressures. And this is implemented in making decisions that keep the work functioning day to day. So short-term actions should support and reflect where you want to be tomorrow. Yeah. Added to all of that, the ongoing pressure to demonstrate authority and competence in a place that is largely dominated by men. And yes, this work sometimes requires engaging with people who may deny your community's work. And, as a female leader, I think a great challenge is to be determined in beliefs and demands in order to be taken seriously.
Yes. Well said. Brilliantly said. Thank you for being that leader, that female leader. The world definitely needs more of you. Thank you. Now, in terms of the quiet, let's dive into your quiet strength and formative moments. Now, resilience often announces itself quietly, significant at the time, but later become pivotal. Now, can you share a moment in your journey, perhaps during a transition or a challenge, that did not feel extraordinary then, but later revealed itself as a defining resilience building experience? Any moment that reflects that?
Sure. I was offered to act head of a delegation in Friends Forever International program, where every year I led a group of 5 Arab and 5 Jewish students for 17 days in the US to instill important values like understanding, communication, tolerance. And being in such demanding role as a head of a delegation, which combines authority, representation, and care, while away from my home and my family, that was a great challenge and requires emotional strength. Long days filled with responsibility and the absence of the familiar grounding routines make resilience grow because as a leader, you must continue to show stability, even if absorbing frustration or homesickness or conflict from participants. On the one side, I have to support the young participants. They grow as they grow independent and face challenges. And on the other side, I had to maintain ongoing contact with parents, offering updates. I had to handle parents' anxiety, expectations, and to provide responses even when situations are complex. And added to all of that, the pressure to appear confident all the times when the role feels isolating. So balancing these responsibilities and this complex set of challenges while being far away from my family and my home requires resilience and strong boundaries and staying calm in all situations.
Well said. Now, let's go a little bit into the divided leadership in divided and sensitive spaces. And I know you mentioned the Friends Forever International. Now, your work with Friends Forever International, leading Jewish and Arab youth in coexistence initiatives, which is really vital work, required you to hold tension without becoming rigid. What did working with people across deep societal divides teach you about emotional regulation, empathy, and leadership restraint, Dr. Nairuz?
Yeah, this was after my master's studies in Tel Aviv University. Then I went into teaching because I had the vision to contribute to the community by teaching. And when we speak about leadership, we often think about adults, but this program is about leadership that begins much earlier at the age of 15. It's about taking young people out of their comfort zones, away from their homes, away from their phones, not as a punishment, of course, but as a gift, because when distractions disappear, dialogue begins and real conversations happen. And for many teenagers, this is the first time they sit at the same table, share the same room, and face challenges together with peers from different backgrounds. They don't arrive as blank pages. Each student carries sensitive history and stereotypes, memories, fears, and narratives that were shaped long before they met each other.
Of course.
So living together transforms this sensitivity into lived encounters where disagreements happen, silence happens, laughter happens. This is a practical approach of how resilience taught. Jewish and Arab youth learning not about each other, but with each other, like living together, crying together, sometimes disagreeing and learning how to stay connected anyway. This is how resilience experienced. And being away from home and away from familiar support may force participants to rely on one another. In that space, resilience grows and dialogue becomes personal. And that doesn't solve conflicts, but teaches that coexistence is not about agreeing on everything, but about choosing respect, even when disagreements exist.
Yes.
This is how young leaders born.
Yes.
And being part of a delegation at such a young age teaches resilience. They learn how to manage emotions, how to solve problems, and support one another without immediately turning to their families or phones. So they discover strength they didn't know they had. So the idea of the program is based on the founder, Bob Rach's quote that says, if you want to know, to get to know someone, take the seat next to them in the life raft. That is exactly what this program does. It places young people side by side in real situations and enable them to overcome challenges together.
So important, and I'm so glad that they have you leading that particular effort.
Oh, thank
May
you.
that replicate.
Thank you.
May that replicate across the globe.
That's really a rewarding experience for me.
Yes, yes, of course, of course. I can sense that. Thank you. Now let's dive into courageous dialogue as skill. How do you personally prepare emotionally and mentally? And we at Boost Through, we do a lot of emotional and mental health and recovery work here. That's our focus. But how do you personally prepare emotionally and mentally to enter conversations where pain, history, and identity are all present in the room? Dr. Nairuz.
Sure, when Arab and Jewish students come together to live side by side, as I said before, they arrive carrying identity, pain, and fears, and sometimes suspicion. And I, as a head of delegation, became the emotional anchor. I stayed calm during emergencies or sensitive discussions. Because of the diverse personalities and identities the program brings, tension moments may appear. So I tend to remain neutral and address tension as soon as I notice it, to permit early interventions, so to prevent small issues from growing into bigger conflicts. Here I didn't blame, I didn't ignore, but I let people feel heard and created a safe place for sharing thoughts and concerns and try to find solutions. I turn these challenging moments into opportunities for growth. So resolving disagreements early requires active listening and empathy and managing personal stress without transferring it to the group, which is a very important point. And participants closely observe how leaders behave under pressure. So role modeling is crucial. I reflect respect for disagreements and taking steps to fix and reconcile, but with strong boundaries. I try to be present, but not over involved. So this process builds safety and trust. This shows that we are humans. It's normal to make mistakes and fix them.
Absolutely. And you're an excellent facilitator. Thank you for that. Now let's dive into networks that serve purpose. Now, your professional relationships span governments, NGOs, academic institutions, and peace organizations. Just amazing. Now, how do you discern which relationships to invest in deeply, especially when networking carries ethical, emotional, and global implications?
Yeah. When relationships span across different spaces, leadership comes because every networking carries different implications and different consequences. So I invest more where I feel more grounded, and when relationships respect pace, and when feels more anchored in my purpose. When I see trust and integrity, because this matters to me. Like discernment itself is a leadership. Like to choose where to invest in deeply protects my values and the mission that I'm called to serve. What I choose not to engage in is as decisive as what I pursue. And I avoid being absorbed into agendas that may distort my original purpose. So this skill helps me recognize where power is being centralized and exploited.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
So well said. Well said, which means that you're all focused on the purpose and the mission for your life. And it's not easy to distract you from that. And that's absolutely essential for you to be a change agent in this world. Thank you, Anna. Absolutely, wholeheartedly in agreement with that statement you just made. Now let's talk about trust over transaction. What have you learned about building trust across cultures that leaders often overlook when they approach networking too strategically? Tell us.
Sure. I believe that language plays a very important role in relationships, in diplomacy, and in conflict resolution. When I speak the language of the other's identity, this promotes understanding and builds trust, which is very important. It's a powerful tool of communication across cultures and helps improving my ability to manage my own emotions and recognize them in others. And speaking like the other's language enables me to listen directly to their emotions. So this opens doors and space for dialogue and shows belonging. And this deeper understanding of different worldviews and of different mindsets improves empathy and judgment, especially in complex or sensitive environments. So trust is earned through presence and deep listening, which creates safety. And safety is the foundation of trust. And to have intentions to learn about the other culture, their values, their history, this shows respect. And added to all of that, being stable and grounded in values.
Beautifully said. Trust and respect. That's how we win people, we win people over with respect, being pivotal in that. So let's talk about legacy here. You have an amazing, beautiful legacy that's unfolding. Legacy is not the sum of our roles. It is the coherence we create between them. Now, when you look at the full arc of your journey, Dr. Nairuz, what do you hope future leaders learn about resilience, emotional intelligence, and purposeful evolution from the way you have moved between roles? Tell us. What do you hope that future leaders learn about resilience, emotional intelligence, and purposeful evolution from the way you have moved between roles? We can hear.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I would say that I would say for future leaders to learn how to lead yourself first, because all starts there. If we don't know ourselves, our triggers, we cannot lead others effectively. It's a skill we should work on to be good leaders. Self-awareness is a skill we develop by daily reflection and learning from failures and from mistakes and keeping growing and learning. And the challenge is leading where resilience is tested daily. And the emotional intelligence should be your survival skill, which is learned through lived experiences. And success is not measured by the absence of conflict. Conflicts always exist, but by the ability to lead through it with empathy and integrity. So I hope my work will show that minorities can be present, can be protected. I hope people remember how courage makes a difference. And my aspiration is that my work leaves the belief that every community deserves to be seen and heard. Because my perspective in life is that each day offers a choice to pass through the world unchanged, or to leave it slightly better than we found it.
Okay.
So this idea serves as a compass. It encourages me to approach leadership as service and education as an act of care.
Wonderful.
And this perspective has helped me remain grounded, because when leadership is guided by service and with purpose and courage, every day becomes meaningful. And what has allowed me to remain who I am is clarity of purpose. When my values are clear and when my purpose is clear, my work doesn't change me, but reveals who I am. So for me, this is what makes a different person.
Wonderful.
I stay grounded by remembering why I began this journey. And to be a true leader, you have to surround yourself, with voices that challenge you, because growth doesn't come from comfort.
Yeah. Profound. Thank you. Thank you for leaving that indelible mark in society. Always be remembered, I'm sure. Now, Dr. Nairuz, your journey reminds us that the most powerful leaders are not those who cling to one identity, but those who allow life to shape them responsibly across seasons. You show us that resilience is not resistance. It is adaptation with integrity. That emotional intelligence is not emotional control. It is self-awareness guided by purpose. Now, and that leadership at its highest form is not about staying comfortable, but about moving where one is most needed. And you've done that. The honorary doctorate in business administration from GSFEN Business School recognizes not only what you have done, but how you've chosen to evolve while doing it. Now, as we welcome you into GSFEN Alumni Legacy, we also affirm a deeper truth, that the future belongs to leaders who are willing to grow, to recalibrate, and to carry wisdom forward and not ego. And you demonstrate that so well. To our global audience, may this conversation remind you that resilience is built in transition, that emotional intelligence is refined through responsibility, and that the most meaningful barriers we break are often within ourselves. Dr. Nairuz, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your courage. And thank you for your unwavering commitment to peace, education, and humanity. Thank you for your amazing work and for being a phenomenal guest in our Breaking Barriers interview series show today. Until next time, may you continue to rise, not by force, but through resilience. Rise above, heal within, and shine beyond. Honorable Dr. Saskia Christian saying goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.